Hi, Code Nation students. This is the webinar for 1.1, Welcome to the Fellowship. So if you missed the first class, we're just gonna go over what took place in class, so you have this as a resource. Our do now we did for the first class at your fellowship was creating a Google slide portfolio. It's kind of like yearbook style. So this is a fun way for you to get to know your classmates, but also for your classmates to get to know you. So if you click this link, which will be shared the slide deck in your agenda, you can make a copy of this and then share that with your program manager. But also when you show up to the next fellowship, you can send it then as well. So you can see just very simple, fill your name. There will be a class one. So again, you'll want to find the class one and then you'll just add your own copy. Alrighty, so yeah, we will move on. But yeah, the do now is there. Just a reminder, you will add to the portfolio, but you want to find the one that your class has linked. No need to review. So we are in Unit 1, Session 1. Our objective for today is that coders, you, will describe the course routines and procedures and review HTML, CSS. So again, we're really going to just look at routines and procedures today and a little bit of review. Today's goals. We are going to introduce you to the company, volunteers, and classmates. Also, introduction to the what does the Code Nation Fellowship 1 look like. We'll really spend some time looking at the agenda. This is going to be your main resource for each class. And so just understanding the agenda, the different links and different resources that are located on that document. Navigating Slack, which will be our main communication means. So Slack is an app, if you haven't used it, that does messaging. So think kind of like Discord, but for businesses and schools. And so we'll kind of look at what Slack looks like and what those expectations are. And then we'll review some HTML and CSS. All righty, welcome to the Code Nation Fellowship. Right here, you'll need to click the link on the slides that your program manager has actually posted. This is just a main slide deck. There should be a link to the class portfolio page. And again, that About Me page includes company info, company logo, or other stuff, and then a description of what the company does. So again, this will look a little different just because you'll have it specific for your fellowship and company. Also, you'll want to have the slide deck open right now. This would be a good time to look at the instructor slides. So as we see here, we don't have any on the main deck, so you'll want to make sure that you have that slide deck open right now. So I'll give you a little time if you haven't opened that up, and also a little bit of time to look at the volunteers and learn about the volunteers and instructors for your class, as well as the program manager. So this is a great time if you want to just pause the video, kind of go through those slides and get to know who you'll be working with this year. If you have now played, come back from pause, let's get into what the fellowship goals are. The goal of the fellowship program is to prepare you for a career in tech. That's what we're all about. So this is by continuing to increase your technical, so think coding, and professional skills. Think time management, think having a LinkedIn profile, these different things that we'll support you with. And then of course, we want this to be fun. I know this is a virtual context. Things are a lot different this year with everything being remote and virtual, but we want to remember the main reason we're here is to learn to code, but to have fun doing that. And this year, it's going to look a little different than last year in your intro to web. And for those that are Fellowship 1 coming into Fellowship 2, mentorship. So really getting to know your mentors, your teachers, instructors, and getting technical support from them. So getting to know them, learn who they are, and they really can guide you because they're these experts with coding and that work in the tech industry. And then that technical support is, of course, the coding, supporting you through projects, through lessons, and the whole entire school year. Reviewing of old coding skills such as HTML, CSS, so we'll brush up on those that you learned in Intro to Web Development, and then we'll introduce you to some new coding skills such as JavaScript functions, arrays, objects, and loops. And then there's opportunities, like I mentioned earlier, to develop your professional skills. We'll have specific classes and lessons that are developed just for professional skills. So take a break from coding and get into different things, like I said earlier, like time management, working on building a LinkedIn profile, different things that can help develop you as you're getting ready for that career in tech, getting ready for college, whatever that next step may be. And then connections to the tech industry. Of course, your instructors, teachers, Code Nation staff, but there will be different opportunities such as virtual field trips and other ways where you can make these connections into the tech industry. What do we expect from you? We need attendance. Attendance is very important in the fellowship. Each lesson builds off of each other, and it's advanced JavaScript. So this is going to be a little bit more advanced than intro to web development. So your attendance is huge. Punctuality. It's hard. As we all know, if you jump into a lesson late, you kind of got to figure out, well, what are they doing? And so really just being on time. We only meet once a week for 2 hours. So really respecting those 2 hours, making sure it's on your Google Calendar, making sure that your parents, family knows like these 2 hours I need to protect because we want you in class. Communication. We know life happens. So if something comes up, just being proactive and communicating to your program manager and letting them know what's going on. So that just is a professional thing, and it develops you and your communication skills, but also lets program managers and our instructors know so they can plan accordingly. Completing projects. One of the biggest parts of this curriculum and program is doing the projects through the units. And so completing those is really important. And that often looks like having some of your own time working on those projects, not just within the class. Attending hackathon. This year, of course, it will have to be virtual, but the expectation is that all fellowship students attend hackathon. Growth mindset. We want you to be positive. We want you to have a growth mindset for yourself, for your classmates, for your instructors, for your program manager, or community as a whole. And then being a steward for our CoNation community, representing us, sharing with your friends when there's different things going on at school, events that you know of, that way that CoNation could come and speak at, share that with your program manager, be an advocate for us because we're always looking to grow our community and grow our programs. After you complete the fellowship, and for some of you, you may be seeing this in fellowship 2, but I'm not sure exactly if the curriculum's quite the same, but there's a second year of fellowship. This is our culminating end of the program year. So there's 3 kind of years of it, right? Intro to web, which you did last year, fellowship 1, which you're doing now, and then next year, which would build off of everything you learned in fellowship and doing more advanced projects in JavaScript. And then following that, you join our alumni network. And so we've already, as we've had graduating classes from fellowship 3 and students that graduate at fellowship 2, or not 3, sorry, fellowship 2 is the second one, and fellowship 1, you join our alumni network, and there's lots of resources and supports and opportunities there. So a little bit of fellowship overview, curriculum-wise. Unit 1, we're just gonna be looking at our online portfolio, introducing you like we're doing today, routines, looking at your portfolio, how we can kind of build that up and have it ready to go. And then a little bit of review, like we talked about with HTML, CSS. And then unit 2, we'll jump into rock, paper, scissors, which is one of your first projects. Then tic-tac-toe, unit 3. Playlist, unit 4, for all you music junkies out there. Unit 5 is a mastery day. So it's kind of a time for us to recalibrate and check in and see where our coding skills are at. And then unit 6, a Jiffy project, and unit 7, our client project. And unit 8 is our end of year unit. So just a little bit of preview of where we're going with the curriculum this year. Now we are remote, right? We are virtual. That's why we're doing these webinars. And so remote learning expectations, attend live class via Zoom. So of course you might have missed class if you're watching this. That's okay. We know life happens, but the expectation is that you regularly attend class. Communicate absences or technical issues. So again, if you know ahead of time that you're not going to make it to class for some reason, or if something comes up that day, just letting your program manager know on Slack, or if you have a texting rapport with them just via phone. Mute your microphone during lessons unless instructors ask for answers. So there will be discussions where we want you to engage and just share out. But if you're not speaking and the main instructor is, just mute your microphone. And this just prevents any disruptive noise coming in as the teacher is leading. Using video is optional, but please use it if you're comfortable. We all know face-to-face is the best way to learn. Also, we really like to see your faces and hear your voices. Our instructors want to see you. Instructors will always have their videos on, as well as program managers. So please, if you can. But we know that sometimes busy at home, siblings might be running around, whatever the case may be. We understand that that can't always be, but we do hope that you can do video throughout the year. Be respectful, of course. We want a respectful, supportive community. So be respectful to your classmates, to your instructors, to your program manager, and to yourself. And then ask questions. It's imperative in fellowship that you ask questions. It's more advanced JavaScript, more advanced projects. And so asking questions will be imperative, especially as we go into a remote learning this year. At this point, I'll let you look at your class slide deck. Your class led a discussion and came up with values that they want to see in the class. And so if you have any ideas that you want to add to that, please share with your program manager. But right now, I'll let you go to that slide and just kind of take a look at what your class discussed for what they want class to look and feel like. So again, if you want to just pause the video right now, this would be a good time to pause. You can go to the actual slide deck for your specific program and see what are some of the values that your class discussed. You're coming back from pausing after seeing your class values. Let's jump into the agenda. So the agenda is going to be kind of the document that you want to check before every class and that you'll be using every class to get linked slides and to get the schedule of everything that will be discussed. Like I said, other links that may be necessary and any follow-up task from the previous class. The session agenda is the first place you will go every day when you get on your computer. Again, you're going to want to bookmark this because you're going to use the agenda every day you're doing Codenation work. And then most professional meetings, I didn't mention this, but follow agendas, which are usually sent out to all attendees ahead of time. So this is a professional kind of skill that we're building in you and a norm. So then when you guys get to that point in your career, it already feels comfortable and normal for you. So the agenda will have this exact structure every time. And so if we look at the top, this will stay the same: class information, instructors' names, program manager name, email. The values that we talked about, you'll see up on that document. So if your class was able to do that in the first session, you'll see that. The project submission link, which is where you'll submit all your projects. Reference table, so think like intro, but for fellowship, we have a reference table for you. The classroom link in Replit, and then a program syllabus. So those will always be at the top as the agenda kind of gets updated each day. Now you'll notice the date. So you're like, okay, unit 1, session 1, that's the date. I know what lesson we're looking at. We'll always have the goal there. So we'll be able to understand the goals of the advanced program, navigate Slack and advanced program agenda, and review foundation topics. So again, those goals are going to be right there, just like they would in the slide deck. Materials, the slide deck will always be here. So again, unit 1, session 1, slides. Then the agenda. Just like in the slide deck, you'll see the agenda. We have similar structures to last year where you come in, there's a do now, kind of get you warmed up, usually based off last class's work. So you can kind of refresh. Introduction. So this is just kind of going through what that day would look like specifically, going over the agenda. It looks like a Jeopardy review in that day, and then a stand-up. And we'll talk about what a stand-up is a little bit later. There will always be announcements and next steps. So announcements could pertain to something that's urgent that the program manager wants to let you know, could be an opportunity that they want to share with you, could be a task that they need from you. And then, of course, your homework would often be there because that would be your next step, right? Complete the homework. So again, announcements, next steps, things that you need to be prepared to have done going into the next class. Let's move on. So when we have if you have your agenda open, and if you haven't done that, I'm going to give you some time to open up that agenda. So if you need to pause. But once you have that agenda open, let's go ahead and bookmark that. And if you want to learn how to bookmark, just this star in the upper right corner, you can put there, and then I want it on my bookmarks bar so then I can see it. And then you would just click done. Then you'll see right here, oh, if I have a lot of bookmarks, it may not come. So then I'm just going to move it over to the middle because I know I'm going to be using this agenda a lot. I may even want to rename it and just put fellowship agenda. And that will just let you have a quick access to that document. So I'm going to give you about another 30 seconds. If you can go ahead and bookmark the agenda, and then if you want to drag it to the middle of your bookmark bar, so it's just quick and easy access for you. And yeah, we say name agenda. If you want to put fellowship agenda, Codenation agenda, or just agenda, that's fine. Just whatever makes the most sense for you to remember, like that's my Codenation doc. And then click done, like I did. Great. Now let's go ahead and discuss a little bit Slack. Slack is an instant messaging tool that many tech professionals use to communicate during work. Think like Discord, as I mentioned earlier, or Facebook Messenger for work. Slack is amazing. We use it so much at Codenation with students, volunteers, and staff. So you're definitely going to want to get comfortable with this because this is how we'll be communicating with your instructors. Why do we use Slack though? Well, like I said, you're going to connect with volunteers for tech help. So if you're stuck with some code when you're working on your project or homework at home, not during class time, it's a great way for you to just kind of send them a quick message like, hey, I have this question, or maybe you send them their code with a question. You can receive coaching from program managers, so it's your way to communicate with the program manager as well. You can interact with Codenation alumni. There's different channels on there and communities you can join, and you can learn about important announcements and information. It's one way that program managers will communicate stuff in a more quick manner compared to an email. So you'll really want to get comfortable with Slack because this is how a lot of things will be communicated to you whether it be about class, other opportunities, all things Code Nation related. And then build community. It's one way for you to connect with other students, staff, and just another means of communication, another means of a touch point, because we know remotely we really need to be engaged. And so it's a great way to help aid that community in a virtual setting. One thing to look with Slack is that teamwork and the communication happens in the channels. The channel is like the public, like a public way of seeing everything that's talked about in the message, whereas a direct message would be private, right? So this is public, and so the channel will be like your fellowship. So right here we see Brooklyn Prep 1819. So that would be like an intro class, right? Because it was a school. But if it was your company, it would be like Clever 20-21. And so public channels are for conversations that's open to all the members. So basically think all the classmates, instructors, and program manager. Direct messages are private. So that's if you need to, let the instructors know or let the program manager know, hey, I'm not going to be at class this week, something came up. You would just do a direct message. You wouldn't need to share that to the whole class. So again, public channels for the whole class, direct messages are individual, or you could do a direct messages to like 3 people. So it's not just one message, it could be private of like a group message. Think like group texting with iPhone. So Slack expectations, we have a Slack agreement that will be shared with you if it hasn't already. So you will want to read over that and sign. But email and Slack communication is a crucial part of the fellowship. You must check it once a day. So Slack, we really expect that you are checking it once a day because so much important information throughout the course of a week will get communicated there. When you work at a tech company, you must be able to be responsive to all forms of communication. So this is, again, building a skill set in you while you're in high school. And when you step out into the real world, whether it be college, whether it be a job, whether it be a coding boot camp, you'll have a lot of these skills and habits already built. Remember that Slack is a professional tool. All messages are saved and monitored by Code Nation. So again, this is professional. This is for Code Nation. This is not for just private, fun, goofy stuff. We want to keep this professional. So what I'd like you to do now is there should be in your inbox an invitation to join Code Nation. This came from your program manager. So if you need to pause for a second and just kind of read this slide, that's fine. But our steps are log into your email and find the email from Slack, click join now, and then make your display name your full name. There are lots of Code Nation students and we want to be able to find you. So really make sure it's your full name. So for example, my name is Brent Koppel, so I do Brent space Koppel. So right now, you're just going to take time to do that and join Slack. So if you need to pause this video, that's completely fine. And just go ahead and get logged in to Slack once you've accepted it. Communicate using Slack. So you can, once you've joined, you're going to see the company invitation. So yours, if you were in Clever Fellowship, it would say Clever 2021. If you were in Salesforce, it would say Salesforce. And then go ahead, see if you can figure out the Jiffy command, use that, and then reply in a thread on the team channel. So most likely, since class is already taking place, you'll see that a lot of students did this. You're going to go ahead and do a reply. And then write a direct message to your program manager saying, hey, I just downloaded Slack. I'm logged in. I'm getting all set up. I just wanted to let you know I'm doing step 4. So again, these are on the slide deck of your actual program, so you can follow those steps there. But it should be the same thing, and you'll see the actual company name on the actual slide deck that your program manager and the instructors taught. So if you need to take a little time, you can pause the video right now. And then just like we bookmark the agenda, I would go ahead and bookmark Slack because you open it as a browser. If you're using your own computer, you can download it as an app. But right now, we're not going to go through that. We're just going to bookmark it. So if I had it opened, we would again and do that bookmark. It's added to my bookmarks bar. I'd put Slack, and then I would click done. Great. So if you've done that and you've bookmarked it, and let me go back, there we go. One thing we do ask that you do, and this is honestly going to save you so much time throughout the year, is download the Slack phone app. So on your smartphone, if you have a smartphone that is, download this because it's one way that you can set up notifications. So it's kind of like a text, right? And that's one way I stay on top of my Slack, is just treating it basically like text messages. So I know, oh, I need to reply to that, or, oh, I can follow up a little bit later. I know I have time. So whether it be iPhone, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, Pixel, Google Phone, whatever it is, go ahead and download that app, and then you'll use your login information that you used when you set up your account. So again, if you want to pause real quick, pause, and you can get your phone out and take some time to download Slack and make sure you're logged into your email and you see the channels. Remind, your program manager should have a link in the slide deck for Remind, or they may have texted you and it would say reply yes to join Remind channel. And again, the Remind channel would have the same naming, so the company name and then 20-21. And your program manager also might have sent another one for your family to join for your parents. So again, right now, take time if you need to pause, go to the slide deck and look for the Remind link, or check to see if the program manager communicated that they actually sent that via text, and see if you can join the Remind channel. Right now, go ahead and take a break. We've been going at it for a little while, so if you need to take a little break, stretch, get a drink of water, whatever it may be, take a little break here. You can pause because I'm going to keep going. But right now, feel free to take a break if you feel like that would support you best. Okay, well, if you're back from break, welcome. This is a little alumni spotlight. So this was Amanda Tan. She said, I thought I might have interest in coding, but I didn't know where to start. I'm thankful that I took the chance. Now I'm studying computer science. And this is what we hope, right? That you have this great experience with Code Nation, you learn coding, and then you take it to the next level and you go to college, you study computer science. So we just like to share these to kind of give real examples of students that were in your shoes and they're on the trajectory for a pathway to a career in tech. We're not going to do an icebreaker since you're not with the class right now. But we will, when you're in class, we'll have different icebreakers, team builders, discussions, just to keep it, that human level connection. We know that with remote learning, it's a lot of just on Zoom time and you're not getting to see people in person. So we want to build time and capacity for that so we can build community. Similarly, we're not going to have you do the Kahoot since it's a team game and you can't do that singular. But if you want to ask your program manager about what was in the Kahoot, they may share. But again, just a little bit of review and some fun questions. So you're okay to miss out on that one for now. Project planning, online portfolios. So just a little overview for the unit. Reminder that we will put our HTML and CSS skills to use by creating a personal online portfolio with multiple HTML pages, professional information about yourself, and links to your past coding projects. So if you have your PopCode account still attached to the Gmail, you can access those. And then CSS styling that matches your personality. So kind of think of your own brand. What do you want your website to look like? And we really know that CSS is how we style it. So really giving kind of, what you like and what you want it to look like. So for this turn-in talk, since you may not have anyone to turn and talk to, we just ask that you take some processing time. So if you want to just pause the video for a second after I read this question, or if you got it by reading it right now, why do professional software developers need a portfolio? So just take a minute, kind of process that, think about that. Well, why would a portfolio be useful? I know when I think about that question, one thing that comes to mind is that you want to showcase your work, right? If you didn't have a portfolio, you'd have to have so many different links to websites and all the things you've worked on and built. And so I think it's a great way for professionals to have a one-stop all that you can share with people when you're interviewing, when you're applying, to kind of showcase all the amazing work you've done. Project planning. So there should be in the linked document a specific project planning document for your class. I will just open this one so you know what it should look like. But it should say Unit 1 FLW, that's for fellowship, and project plan specifications. And this is kind of like a rubric, right? So it just lets you know what we want to see in the portfolio. You'll make a copy because this is going to be your kind of planning document to help you keep track of your work with your portfolio. So again, if you don't remember how to make a copy, you go to File and then Make Copy, and then it will say Copy Of. And if you want to just put your name there, because there might be times where you share this with your program manager and then they'll know, oh, yep, this is the student's project plan for the portfolio. Invite your program manager to view edit. Yep, so again, if this was my document and I had made the copy, then I would share, I would type in my program manager's name, and then I would give them sharing ability. Complete the brainstorming and wireframe before next class so we can begin coding right away. So the brainstorming and wireframe we want you to do before the next class. And so if you look down here, it gives you a couple questions for brainstorming to kind of get you thinking, and then directions for the wireframe. think like sketching and drawing out what you want the website to actually physically look like. And yeah, that's what we ask that you do before next class. So that's some work that you can do tonight, especially because I know this webinar will be a little bit shorter than an actual class. So take that time to work on your brainstorm and wireframe, and you can do it right in there. If you're like, well, how do I draw? You can always do like an insert drawing, and you can do your wireframe through that. Turn and talk again. So you may not have someone to turn and talk to. So just take time to process this. What's a wireframe? Why will you have to make multiple wireframes for your portfolio? So I kind of jumped into that a little bit, but if you want to just pause the video, kind of look at this example, you could even Google search right now, wireframe, and you would see examples. But think about, why would we do that? What would be the purpose of wireframing? And as you're processing, if you pause the video, that's great, and you're coming back. One thing I think about wireframe is kind of like an outline to a paper. It gives me an idea of where I want this website to go, what's my end goal. So similar, when you draft and write an essay, you may have done an outline or a brainstorming session before that to get ideas kind of on to somewhat of a structure, but knowing that you're flexible with that. Same with wireframing, but for a website. Stand up. As I mentioned earlier, I was going to explain stand up is a meeting, short meeting between a team that is held on foot. The goal is to go over important tasks that have been finished, are in progress, or about to be started. So kind of think of this as a way to review, kind of just a closing of like, okay, what did we accomplish? What do we still need to do? And it just kind of reminds everyone of what you did for the day and where you're going next. So we'll do stand-ups every class to kind of process what work we've done, what we've learned, and then what we're applying in our code and where we're going next. So with a stand-up today, even though you don't have people to share this with, we still want you to go through and think about this right now and see how you're feeling. What are you excited for? What did you learn? And do you have any shout outs? So you may not have many shout outs other than maybe me. That would be great if you gave me a shout out. But since you're kind of doing this solo with the webinar, just think about what you learned today, some of the different tools, different platforms we'll be using, and then think about, what are you excited for? And then lastly, we'll go over homework, and then this webinar is about done. Complete all your beginning of year paperwork. That's what the BOY stands for, by next week. So all the paperwork and tasks that your program manager shared with you, and it would be on next steps in the agenda most likely, please complete those by next week, or the class that you're going to next. Save all class dates in your calendar. So if you know my fellowship is on Mondays 4 to 6, create a reoccurring link or a calendar invite. And you may accept one from a program manager. They may have invited you to one. Click yes on that and just save those dates in your calendar. I like to make sure that my calendar, like to my email, is linked to my phone, because then it gives me notifications on there and I can just quickly check when I start my day out what events I have to go to. Complete your portfolio project planning document. We talked about the wireframe and the brainstorming. So some cool optional reading videos. These will be linked in the slide deck. So again, you have that other slide deck that your class is using for this same lesson. You can click that link and access those there. Continue working on your portfolio. We want you to just keep working at it. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be getting the portfolios ready. And then the second unit, we're going to jump into our first new JavaScript and project. So this is all for today. Thank you so much for going through this webinar, staying on top of your work. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your program manager to follow up with them. And if there's anything along the line, if you review the slides, you may find that there are a couple things different specifically for your program. Just make sure to take note of that in the slide deck, because the one that I've been using, of course, is just a general one for students who miss class. Thank you so much. Take care and good luck with the year.